Welcome to the Interstate Mets Report with your hosts, Nelson and Chris. There we go. Sorry about that. What's up, everybody? Nelson here, aka the Amish Country Mets fan, along with my buddy Chris at CPNY Sports. What's up, Chris?
What up? What up? How is everyone doing? Hopefully, we see some more positivity out of the Mets today. We'll see what happens.
Yep, the Mets are on a little bit of a roll lately. At least to me, it was a surprise win last night. Um, Never saw that coming. I'll be straight up honest. Didn't see them winning the game at all, and not let alone a 10-4, I think it was. Um, so nice win for the fellas. Before we jump in, just gonna plug our little stuff real quick. Follow me on X at Amish Country Met. Um, Also, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Amish Country Mets fan. And of course, if you're watching, please subscribe to the YouTube at Amish Country Mets fan. And then if you're on my channel, don't happen to be subscribed yet to Chris, please go over to Chris's channel at CPNY Sports. And you can also catch him on X and Instagram at the same handle at CPNY Sports. And last but certainly not least, follow us on X at the Interstate Mets. We'll be not gonna lie, we've been slacking on the content there, but the Mets are not giving us too much to talk about. Though if they keep this up, we might have to step up our game a little bit. So today we got a few topics to talk about. First up, Mets Cardinals series recap. The Mets took 3 out of 4 from the Redbirds. Looked pretty dominating, to be honest, in most of the games. Obviously, they dropped that last one. Cookie Carrasco, what can you say about him? He's been having a horrible year. So the Mets looked pretty solid in St. Louis. Looked pretty solid the series before that in Pittsburgh. What do you take from that series, Chris?
I mean, Carlos Carrasco, can't wait for the guy to get off this team already. Mr. 15 game winner last season, obviously got the qualifying offer from the Mets. I thought it was a mistake to do so, but I guess they really had no other options in the grand scheme of things. And I mean, with the way the rotation has gone in 2023, not only with the big guys being disappointing and, departing in the trade deadline, but also the depth pieces, Tyler McGill, David Peterson, obviously we haven't seen as much as Lucchesi, but they've been disappointing as well for the most part. So nothing really much to say there. I take away Quintana. Jose Quintana is my biggest takeaway because I've been loving what he's been doing ever since he's been get off the IL. I said it yesterday on the Roundtable podcast. If you're somehow watching this and didn't watch the Roundtable last night, obviously I talked about Jose Quintana. I mean, he's going to be an integral part of this rotation. We'll see if he slots back into that 4 spot, or maybe depending on what the Mets do in the offseason, maybe he'll move up to 3. But a nice lefty option. He's been dominating. He's been putting together quality starts, 1 or 2 run ball games per start, and he's been giving the Mets length, which is what they need. So he's been absolutely catching my eye. I want to say, just looking in terms of looking ahead forward to 2024. The offense coming out hot. Pete Lindor continuing his campaign here over the last month or so, maybe even beyond that. Nimmo has been turning it around. McNeil, another guy turning it around. We touched upon him in terms of potentially increasing his trade value due to the guy who we'll be talking about next here on our segment today. And then, obviously, all the other guys too. You're talking about the Ortegas of the world, the DJ Stewarts of the world. I mean, DJ Stewart is just lights out right now. He is mashing the ball. And I don't want to confidently say that I would be comfortable giving him a 2024 roster spot, but honestly, having a lefty bat like that that provides some pop off the bench. I mean, his glove isn't the best out there in the outfield, but he's serviceable is what I'll say. So, I don't know. This is his tryout. This is his 2024 tryout right now. So, and he's making the most of it. So, good for him. Um, what happens with the call-ups happens with the call-ups. I tweeted out today. I the whole Ronnie Mauricio thing, I'm not we're not gonna get into it today, but I tweeted about that. So that is what it is, but we're stuck with the Ariuzes and the Ortegas, which is fine because they honestly play with the passion. This team has shown more pride and passion than at any other point of the season, minus maybe that little stretch where we swept the Guardians and then took 2 or 3 of the Rays. I think that's the only other point in time this season where I could confidently say the Mets were displaying some sort of passion and love for the game. That's been missing all 2023. And if these guys, these quadruple A guys are going to come up here to the bigs and show that they can at least play with some passion, no matter what the result is on the field, then I'm all for it. That's my biggest takeaway. So it was a nice series win, 3 out of 4. Always good to beat the Cardinals, especially with Mr. Stubby Clapp out there at the first baseman, first base line. But yeah, man, I don't make too much of it. The Cardinals have having a down season. Just good to get a win against the Redbirds. But you see even Daniel Vogelback got into the action with that grand slam. So everybody was contributing this series. So that's what I make of it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was good to see the bats going. Pete's looking great. Um, Lindor's staying hot, like you said. I mean, almost everybody's contributing at this point. McNeil, I gotta, hey, hand up. I gotta give a shout out to McNeil. I'm not his biggest fan. I've said it before. I'm kind of hoping he boosts his trade value more than anything, but I'm not gonna knock the guy when he's playing well. I have to can't be a hypocrite. He's doing a good job, and I gotta give him his props for it. Hopefully he keeps it up, regardless. So even if he stays, I want to see him do well. Um, I don't want him to be here sucking. Like that's doesn't help anybody. So um, just gonna get to some of these comments real quick. Our boy Aaron, a regular Tyler pitching tonight. Let's go, baby. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, listen, me and Chris both have said it on the Run Table podcast. We've said it here. We're not really buying into this little run that we got going on. But I mean, the Mets can prove us wrong if they keep this up, if they somehow take this series against the Braves, and who knows what they do against LA, the Angels, that is, who really aren't very good. Um, they've kind of folded since they made all those moves at the deadline, which is quite funny actually. So I don't know. I don't believe in it. We're still way too many games under 500. We still got way too many teams to climb. But I know Chris has said it. I'll say it. If we're wrong, we'll be glad to come on here and say, hey, we were wrong. This team came up with some miracle run, and we're back, baby. Obviously, we'd rather see that. We're not rooting for losses. If it comes down to it, obviously, if we're not doing well and a better draft pick spot is on the line, I'm not necessarily rooting for wins either. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not gonna root against our team. Um, you guys think the Italian stud Joey taking a roster spot next year? Um, is he talking
Casey,
about?
he's talking about Luke Casey.
Uh, I don't know. I think he's mainly filler in case somebody goes down. I don't see him actually making like if he makes the roster, I think we got a problem, to be honest. Like if we don't have enough pitching that he's actually on the roster as a starter, I don't that worries me. I don't know. What do you think?
I think he can be a long relief type guy. I think if you fill in the back end, I want to see primarily Mike Vasil compete for that spot, We'll see if we see Vasil up in 2023 or not, but I think Vasil, he's been doing a tremendous job over there in the minor leagues so far. Been keeping tabs on him, so I think he could compete for that last spot. I'll say this: I would prefer Joey Lucchesi over a guy like David Peterson or even Tyler McGill any day of the week. If we're talking about a spot, a roster spot up for grabs, I'm taking Joey Lucchesi all day. Um, so I think that maybe he can serve in that sort of Trevor Williams long relief role for the Mets next season, with Vasil being the 5. Vasil doesn't prove to be who we thought he was. Lucchese's the next one in that order. It's Vasil, Lucchesi, McGill, Peterson to me in that ranking order for that 5 spot. So I do think he takes a roster spot, not in the starting rotation, but he's a good depth piece to have too. And he's shown a couple starts here sporadically this season, when he's been up, that he can perform at a high level, give us 5, 6 innings, whatever we need. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I could handle him in a Trevor Williams type role. I mean, there's Vassell. You can't forget Tidwell either. He's kind of on his way up. A couple other guys, Christian Scott been performing. He's probably a little further away. So you gotta. We'll see. I mean, I could if he's in a bullpen role, I don't mind it. If he's our fifth starter, depending on who the other four guys, I guess I could live with it. But I I'd rather him just be like that emergency guy that we kind of call on if we're desperate for somebody or we need an extra start because we want to give guys extra rest or something like that. Um, Stevie Mack says, "What's up? What up, Stevie?" Stevie's always tuning in. We appreciate that. And yeah, we'll go ahead and move along. There's not too much more to say. The Mets just did the job in St. Louis. It's always nice to beat the Cardinals. The Cardinals are I wouldn't consider them a rival anymore, but they're one of those teams that are annoying, like pest in the Mets side at times. We've had some history with them in the playoffs, and I mean, if you go back to the '80s, we had some major history with them. So a lot of older
Would
Mets
you
fans. What's that?
would you make of the the funny Alonso situation when he threw Mason Wynn's
Oh yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
hit up into the stands? I don't know if I thought that was the only instance that happened, but apparently he did something as well later that game or something like that. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that game that night directly, but I saw all the Cardinals fans were making a huge deal out of it. And it ended up being Alonso sending the day after a bottle of 1942 signed, sealed, and delivered over to Mr. Wynn. So I don't think Pete meant anything by that, but it was just funny because I guess MLB Twitter outside of Mets Twitter just hates Pete Alonso, and it's just funny how
Yeah,
triggered he
let's face it,
gets in the MLB
Mets
fan
Twitter
base.
hates some of Mets Twitter hates him too. It I think it's just he's got that goofy personality. He's kind of a weirdo. Some people accept it, other people I feel like some Mets fans are embarrassed by the way he acts sometimes, to be honest. And I don't I don't know. I don't see why. He's a goof. He's that situation itself, it's hard to say that he was doing that on purpose, but it makes it look weird because the way he tossed it, like most people would toss the ball like in the first couple rows. He chucked that thing like way up in the stands where like nobody would expect to like have a guy toss them a ball like that. So that's what made it a little odd. But I just think it was Pete being a goofball. He wasn't thinking. It's just what he does. He just sometimes his like head like he goes into outer space. Um,
Or maybe he didn't want to toss the ball to Stubby Clapp.
yeah, yeah. It was like a Roger Clemens moment. I thought it was the bat, and it's or I thought it was a ball instead of the bat throwing it at Piazza type thing where he was just I don't know confused. Um, yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Cardinals fans obviously started crying for some reason, like you said, for some reason that he's an object of other teams like hatred, their fans anyway. And it's just dumb to me. Like he hasn't ever done anything like to really be the bad guy. Um he's a goofball for sure. He acts like a weirdo with the home run derby, like it's the end all be all. Like, yeah, I get all that, but for the hate he gets, I don't understand it. And good for him. He gave the kid a bottle of expensive ass liquor, and and I think he sent him a signed bat or something like
Something
that.
like that.
It's what it is. It's just it's silly. Shout out him though for stepping up. Like after that, he's still like he didn't let that moment ruin his series. He like kind of killed them after that. So good for him. I don't know. I don't know
I
what
think
that was.
I think the Pete Alonso hatred around the league really started when that whole Chris Paddock situation developed, and they were kind of going at it for that Rookie of the Month kind of award. And I think that point is what
But he
really,
was
really
right.
started. Because then you remember that?
Yeah. He was right in that situation. Chris and who the hell? Where's Chris Paddock now?
Exactly.
Like, I mean,
Exactly.
like it's just the whole situation was weird. But anyways, let's move on to talk about Jett Williams, Jett the Met. Ever since getting called up, he got called up to Brooklyn, and it's been on fire. In 18 games, he's hitting. Let's see here, 312 with a 462 OBP, 574 slugging, 1.035 OPS. Um, He's got 7 steals, only been caught once for the season total. He's got 45 stolen bases. The dude's fast. He walks a ton. He's got 89 walks combined between the two levels. He was in St. Lucie and, like I said, recently called up to Brooklyn. He's my personal favorite prospect. I love this kid. Looks like a little Dustin Pedroia at the plate, maybe with a little more speed. Um, we'll see where he ends up position wise. He's kind of rotated between second and center. Um, the Mets obviously have a ton of middle infield prospects now. So him being able to move to the outfield might be more beneficial for us. You know, he is kind of a short dude for the outfield, I guess. I don't know. If he can do it, he's very athletic. So I don't see him having an issue with it. But yeah, man, the dude's on fire. I love watching him play. I've watched a few games um, since he's moved to Brooklyn. You obviously see the highlights all over Twitter. So what do you think of Jett the Met and his prospects for? I don't know. How, he keeps this up. He may be making noise to get called up to the majors late next year, early 2025. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's the Mets' number 5 ranked prospect currently. He just got called up to High A Brooklyn, like you said. He's got 18 games under his belt there. Something to note in High A Brooklyn, I think Kevin Parada got called back up from Low A St. Lucie, so that lineup is going to feature
Nah,
some big names with prospects.
Parada was already in Brooklyn. He was just hurt. He's been on the IL. He's been in Brooklyn for a while.
Okay, I thought he was okay, I thought they moved him down to low A and then moved him back up to high. So okay, so Parada was hurt, but that lineup starting tonight is going to feature a combination, whatever combination the top is going to be Ryan Clifford, Jett Williams, obviously Kevin Parada, and then Alex Ramirez too is going to be over there. He's in High A Brooklyn right now too. So if you're tired of watching the Mets major leaguers, if you're tired of watching Jonathan Arias or Rafael Ortega, then go watch some High A Brooklyn ball because those guys are going to be some names to watch. So as it pertains to Jett Williams, it really does depend on, I think, his position that they prop him into in the major leagues is going to heavily depend on when he's actually ready. Obviously, we've been talking about all the speculation about Jeff McNeil, whether the Mets are really going to ride out his 4-year contract or maybe potentially trade him with the likes of Luis Angel Acuna coming up soon. Luis Angel Acuna, another guy that can play outfield and second base. When Luis Angel comes up, because he's going to be up before Jett Williams presumably is. Does he get slotted into that middle infield role, or does he move to the outfield and you let Jeff McNeil continue to be in that second base role? Now, when both Jett Williams and Luis Angel Acuna, because I think the common theme that we've talked about here on every single podcast, every single, roundtable podcast, every single Interstate Mets Report episode that we've talked about, I think the three guys that we said are untouchable, two out of the three are Jett Williams and Luis Angel Acuna. So by our judgment, these two will be here at the same time at some point in the next 2 to 3 years. I don't want to say 3 years because I think it's a little bit of an overshot. 2 years max, in my opinion. So what happens? Where does Luis Angel play versus where does Jett Williams play? When you talk and you take into account Jeff McNeil and you take into account Brandon Nimmo already filling in an outfield spot. I don't have the answers to those questions. I just want the viewers, whoever's viewing this, to start thinking about that. And it all depends on what their vision is with Jeff McNeil. To be honest, if Jeff McNeil is here next year in 2024, has a spectacular season, maybe we don't trade him this offseason. Maybe we trade him the next offseason. You let Jett Williams have a corner outfield spot, or you let Luis Angel Acuna have a corner outfield spot, and you slot the other guy in at second base. I think that's how they play it, because guess what? You still have Mr. Drew Gilbert coming up, and he's going to have an outfield spot presumably as well. He's also killing it since coming over to the Mets as well. I think he's in Double-A currently as well. So Double-A Binghamton. So this is a really big merry-go-round of positions that the Mets are going to have to kind of flip-flop back and forth and kind of keep tabs on as they relate to the current guys already in the MLB. When Drew Gilbert comes up, do you want Brandon Nimmo shifting over to left field? Okay, well, you're going to need to have the stronger arm of Jett Williams or Luis Angel Acuna be ready to take that right field spot if that's where they're moving to. Because guess what? Starling Marte is another guy who's already here, who's only got 2 years left under his belt. And if he's not traded either, that creates another roster spot. So this is a whole plethora. It's a whole merry-go-round to consider. And I don't think people realize that there's going to be a lot of questions to answer when it comes to like that sort of situation that I just explained. But Jett Williams, obviously, like you said, hitting over 300 in high A ball. Saw a couple of videos on X, on the Twitter X app, that he just absolutely demolished a couple of off-speed pitches. Just absolute no doubters. And it's awesome to see that with his frame, like you said. I think he's 5'7" max in stature. Kid cannot be over 180 pounds. I don't even think he's over 180. So a real Dustin Pedroia type frame, and he's just hitting absolute moonshots. So definitely pay attention to him. That's why I wanted to bring him up on this episode of the Interstate Mets Report. Absolutely phenomenal things we're seeing. And like I said, he's one of those untouchable prospects, presumably, that we're going to see climb through the ranks here shortly. So that's my take on it. But just pay attention to that merry-go-round, especially as it pertains to Starling Marte, Brandon Nimmo, and Jeff McNeil.
Yeah, and you didn't even really mention the fact. I mean, you still got Mauricio, who, I mean, I think both of us think he's probably getting traded, but he's still around. You got Brett Beatty still around. What do you do there?
Can I touch on that? I think that this whole situation, not to cut you off, I think, personally speaking, this whole situation that we are seeing that I just mentioned makes Brett Beatty that much more expendable. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and he could be. And, it's tough to give up on a guy so early. Guys sometimes take a couple years to reach their full potential. But if they decide he's not the guy, you could also see Jett or Acuna move to third base. They could play third as well. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of young pieces. Obviously, not all these guys are going to make the Mets, and not all of them are going to pan out. I truly believe in Jett Williams. I truly believe in Acuna. But I also believed in Beatty, and I still do. I haven't given up on him. I know some Mets fans are done with him. Mauricio, I'd like to see them give him a shot. He's the one guy, he worries me just because of things that he's had issues with being his plate discipline, striking out too much at times, not drawing very walks. That you can be a good player and play and that be your profile. Look at, I mean, Jordan Alvarez, but you have to have like that insane power going and pick it up in other places. So we'll see. I mean, it's a good problem to have this many young guys. It'll all shake out somehow, whether it be trades or some of them just don't pan out. So we'll see what happens. Let's catch up on some of these comments. Stevie Mack says Paddock was being an absolute D-bag during that situation. Yeah, he was. I thought he was the bad guy and all that. I don't know how Pete ended up getting any of that smoke. The way Jett is playing, if they invited him to spring training, he might not ever go back down again. Might not, yeah, but the thing I'd say that with that is the Mets are so conservative in bringing these guys up. They've showed it with almost everybody. They're not one of those teams that bring guys up from double A, let alone single A to the majors. They usually like to see them progress all the way through and at least get some time at triple A. It's frustrating at times. I'm not gonna lie. When you see other teams be more aggressive and their guys kind of pan out, and then you see us like take forever with some of these kids, it's like I don't know. It can be a little frustrating at times. Aaron says, rumor has it the D-backs are heavily scouting Yamamoto as well. Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, we're not going to be the only ones in on this guy. He's he looks like a very good pitcher. There's going to be more teams involved. Our advantage is Billy Epler obviously has a Japanese connection. We have Senga here already, and Steve Cohen's pockets. Like the fact is, he's got more money than anybody else, and he's proven he's willing to spend it. So that's what I guess would be what I would hang my hat on if we do get into like a little bidding war. I don't think Steve Cohen's gonna get outspent if he really wants the guy. So we'll see about that. Our guy Jung Hoo Lee, I think he's just saying hey. A little typo there. Hey Nelson and Chris, what's up, Jung Ho? I wouldn't mind seeing Jung Ho on the Mets roster either. More Japanese guys, Asian guys, Korean guys, the better. Bring them all over here. They don't have. I like their style of play. I know I say it. It sounds like it's a joke, but I'm serious. Like these guys, I like the way. I like their mentality. I like that they don't have that ego thing that a lot of American players and Latin players can have at times. They have that ego in them, and they sometimes they think they're bigger than the game. You don't see that with these Asian guys. They just put their head down, do the job, and lately a lot of them have been very good. And I like what I see out of this Jung Hoo guy. Jung Hoo wants to see Luke Ritter. Yeah, man, he's shown some power. 25 homers in AAA, like you said. Not a very highly regarded prospect, but you never know. Like Jeff McNeil came out of nowhere. If you go on a pitching side, Jacob deGrom came out of nowhere. We've had Daniel Murphy wasn't a big prospect, and he ended up having a decent career. Lucas Duda wasn't a highly regarded prospect, and I know a lot of Mets fans don't like him, but he played a couple solid seasons for us. So guys like Luke Ritter, who are drafted lower, who maybe not many fans think about, they sometimes come up and produce, whether it be maybe not necessarily as a starter, whether he's a bench guy. You never know. I like what I've seen out of him. More power than I expected for sure. Love to see it. Stevie Mack says Edwin is supposed to be throwing off the mound mark. This is what scares me about this little Mets run. Because if they start to really get into it, I could see them in their heads making a case for, all right, well, if we're gonna be actually serious about making this run, then we got to throw Edwin out there. That scares me. What do you think about that?
I mean, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. I agree with you. I already said it. We already said it. We don't wanna see him in 2023. If the Mets get through this Braves series and they somehow perform well against those AL teams coming to town, they keep it within 5 games, starting in September in the wild card, I can see them doing something stupid like that, and that's what I will call it, is just stupid, but I can totally see it. Um, and I think Jolly Olive was the account who said that, is like, the Mets have the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever if they keep it within 5 games, obviously, of the wild card, you play those teams that are ahead of you, and Rob even said it yesterday on the roundtable as well. It's the perfect storm to sort of draw up ooh, let's go for that third wild card spot. Ooh, let's rush in Edwin Diaz to close out some ball games to get us there.
And
It's not great.
It's such a Mets thing. Sorry to cut you off, but it's such a typical Mets thing to happen. Like, we trade everybody off. Everybody's kind of like been whatever, and then all of a sudden we're somehow like in the mix at the end. I don't, like I said, I don't believe in it. I know you don't really either, but it would be interesting. And like, I agree with you. I think it would be a mistake, but
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not if the Mets think they can make the playoffs, and if they do, I'd be happy watching postseason baseball regardless of the roster. I just think that if you make the decision to offload the guys you offloaded at the deadline, you made that decision back then. There's no sort of in your processes, like, you can't half-ass it at this point. You know what I mean? If you're going to truly commit to building towards 2024, and I get the optics of it too. You're playing in the market that's really scrutinizing the front office's every move, but, like, you gotta take the fanhood outside, and you gotta separate that from what's the best outcome for the 2024 Mets, and throwing Edwin Diaz isn't out there. But the whole Luke Ritter point as well, I completely agree with that. He is 26 years old, so he's not younger like some of the other prospects that we were mentioning coming up, but, I mean, got 25 home runs. I'd definitely rather see him than Daniel Vogelback out there, who remains on this team somehow, some way. And I don't even care about the matchups. I don't care that Vogelback's a lefty. Him having a job right now, on August 22nd of 2023 is absolutely absurd, ridiculous. It makes me want to puke, to be honest with you. It's terrible.
yeah, I think we gotta just take it for what it is. At this point, he's gonna have a job for the rest of the year. He's here. I don't think, unless he gets hurt, I don't think that's changing. But let's jump in to the last topic. The Mets. I mean, they take the opener in Atlanta. They are keep their little run of good baseball going. You posted the stats here. Nimmo went 2 for 4, 2 runs. Lindor 2 for 5, hit a homer. McNeil 3 for 5. Alonso another couple hits. DJ Stewart 2 for 3. Ortega's getting in on the mix. I really don't want to get. I mean, Peterson 4.2, 4 earned runs. That's not really good.
Get him out of
he's
here. Get him
he's
out of here.
yeah, he sucks, but it is what it is. We're stuck with him for now. I don't want to see him pitch again beyond this year. I know some people think he has good stuff and this and the other. Dude, he's Steven Matz. He's not even Steven Matz. He's worse than Steven Matz. And nobody, like, by the time we got rid of Steven Matz, nobody wanted him here. So I don't think Peterson's gonna be pitching for us and providing anything of value going forward. Um, and then Bickford gets the W. Nice to see the bullpen actually hold the Braves down. I fully expected the bullpen to get lit up. Not gonna lie,
Shocked, Drew Smith. I am shocked Drew Smith threw a scoreless inning, and Adam Ottavino at that point. They both
yeah,
threw scoreless innings, and I'm absolutely shocked.
against that Atlanta team, it was definitely shocking. I think we all kind of expected them to come back. I'm not gonna lie, I expected the Braves to sweep this series. Um, so I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't think it really means anything in the grand scheme of things. They'll have to go out there and show me tonight that they can win with freaking Tyler McGill on the mound. Yeah, just Jungle B says Marte stay home. DJ Stewart is a beast. Uh, Aaron, love that DJ Stewart picture you sent earlier. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you don't follow me on X, or if you have an account, go over to at Amish Country Med. I posted a little DJ Stewart poster graphic thing. It's kind of cool.
I'm
I
on
was
the
just
DJ Stewart bandwagon. I'm on
yeah,
it, fully on it.
he's been all right. I wouldn't mind seeing him as I don't want him starting on this team, but
No,
a
no,
bench piece for next year wouldn't be bad. Um, Jung-Hoo Lee praised the Mets sign Orioles relief pitcher Shintaro Fujinami next year. Yeah, like I said, man, all bring on all the Asians. Bring them. I'm all in. Let's go. But yeah, as far as the series, I mean, go get another one tonight, I guess. I mean, I Tyler McGill against this lineup that the Braves. I mean, the Braves. I'm a Braves hater. Like I said yesterday on the Roundtable podcast, I consider them choke artists when it comes to the postseason. I know Braves fans don't like that. They kind of. I actually posted that video on TikTok where I said that, and I got some hate. The Braves fans were coming for my neck, which I expected it. But listen, yeah, they won a World Series in 2021, but for a team that's made the playoffs as much as they have in their history, going all the way back to the 90s, to have all of two World Series to show for it, that's kind of not that great. Yes, I'd still rather be that team. Obviously, we don't have any. I'd rather be the team that has two World Series and has dominated the division. But if I'm really thinking about it like objectively, I've got to think if I were a Mets fan, yes, I'd be happy with the World Series. But you know that we'd be pretty annoyed if we made the playoffs almost every single year and only had two World Series to show for it over a span of 20, 30 years. I mean, you know we would. So that's all I'm saying. I'd still rather to be there in their position for sure. But yeah, man, I can't say, like I said, I expected us to get swept. I can't say I expect us to take the next two. I don't even know if we'll take one. We got King Katana on the mound tomorrow, so at least I believe in him a little bit. But I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of this series? This team's got me kind of perplexed. I'm like, I don't want to believe, but at the same time, I'm like, I am enjoying this little run that they're on. I'd rather see this than the crappy baseball they were playing. So, How do you feel about all of it?
I mean, 6.5 back with a wild card spot going into tonight's game. Um, they've been playing better. They've been playing better. I will completely give them props. Like I said, this team has shown more fight in the last 2 weeks than they have all season, minus that one stretch of games, those 2 or 3 series that we saw and we were doing videos for where Alvarez hit that game-tying home run against the Rays, and then Alonso won it. I mean, listen, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I said it yesterday. I don't expect the Mets to win the series, even after taking a shocking game in shocking fashion, no less, last night. If I had to predict it, I would say Tyler McGill gets absolutely toasted today. Maybe Quintana keeps it competitive, but even if the starter keeps it competitive, it's like that version of the bullpen we saw last night is not what I'm expecting every night. Like I just said, Drew Smith, shocking that he didn't give up a run. Ottavino, same thing. I mean, really, despite his struggle, I think the last time he came out or 2 times he came out, I think the guy that I trust the most in his bullpen is Grant Hartwig, and that's just saying something. So, um, yeah, I mean, I don't make much of it. Like I said, I'm not expecting it. I'm not going to get my hopes up for it like all these other Mets fans. I think that this is just the late August non-competitive delusion that's setting in. I don't think people are capable as baseball fans going through 162 without holding out some sort of hope. And like you said, I'm going to caveat that by saying if the Mets were to do it, like I'm still actively rooting for them to win these ball games and get closer and closer to that mark because guess what? If we're 3 out of the wild card or 2 out of that wild card at the end of the year, I'd rather have that, to be honest with you, just as a baseball fan and watching something that's competitive night in and night out than being like 15 games back. I know that takes away from the draft pick compensation that we could potentially get with this MLB lottery now that they have installed. But I want to watch competitive baseball. I don't think you want to watch non-competitive baseball. I don't think anybody here listening wants to watch non-competitive baseball. So if this is the tease that they have to give us for the rest of the season, they keep it within, if they maybe cut it down to like 3, 4 come September, maybe the first week of September, they're set up. They could just beat those teams ahead of them and then take a wild card spot. I mean, I'm not expecting the Mets to do anything in the wild card, even if they make it. But yeah, I think it's a pipe dream. But I guess if this is what makes time go faster until the end of the season, then so be it. I'd rather watch that kind of baseball. So
Yeah, I think it's a pipe dream as well. I think the super positive Mets fan get annoyed at guys like us because they feel like we're like shooting them down. It's not that. It's just we've seen the team all year. It doesn't look any. I mean, yeah, they look a little better, but I mean, look at the roster. Just be objective and like look at it that way. It's hard to actually buy into. But if it happens, hell yeah, I'm going to be rooting for it. If we're somehow 2 or 3 games out sometime in September and we're like really playing for something, City Field's going to be rocking. We're going to be excited. And like you said, we're probably going to get bounced and get our asses handed to us in the wild card, but it's not
yeah,
going to matter. It'll be better than being the worst team money could buy. Like if we sneak into the playoffs, then we can actually say, you know what, the season wasn't a total loss. It was a weird one. It still didn't meet expectations, but at least, hey, we did make the playoffs. That's 2 years in a row. It's something to build off of. But do I really think that's going to happen? Hell no. There's just too much has to happen. I mean, but you never know, man. Miracles happen. They're called the Miracle Mets for a reason. It's I give it like a 0.1% chance, but
yeah,
we'll
somewhere around there.
yeah,
Just because like if the Mets somehow did like let go of Tommy Pham and Canna, okay, whatever. But that's fine. But if they like kept like one of Scherzer or Verlander, maybe I'm like, all right, we have enough pitching to make a run, maybe, right? And so, I don't know. Maybe this is
you
the
could,
team. Just like
you
maybe
could
these guys are
argue
coming around and just show the front office like a big fu. I don't know.
they could call up Vassell and maybe catch lightning in a bottle with him, and then you got Senga, Quintana, Vassell, and
I think
I
they
don't
should do
know.
that anyways, though. Get them that experience. Why?
Oh
Why
yeah,
not
for
just do that
sure.
anyway?
Yeah, for sure. They should do that. And we may see that in September. I'm just saying, like, if they're really gonna try to make some miracle run, they're gonna need better pitching than they have. McGill,
Yeah,
Peterson, and Cookie Carrasco aren't gonna do it. So if
not gonna
you're
do it.
actually trying to make a run, then he's a guy that maybe he steps up and actually carries us a little bit. I don't know, man. It's such a weird situation to be in. The Mets have no business being 6.5 games out of a wild card spot.
Yeah,
It's
you're right.
just the fact that the rest of the NL wild card teams are not good either.
I
Realistically,
mean,
we should be like 10 games out.
well, I mean, every time people keep on saying 6.5 out of the wild card, which is great and all, but you look at the Nationals, they're 8.5 out of the wild card. So like we're closer to the Nationals than than we are to the third wild card spot. I mean, that's just a joke. To hold out hope over that is kind of silly to me. But I mean, like I said, the only reason outside of watching competitive baseball where I would like be accepting and because I'm a Mets fan, I just want to watch them in the playoffs would just to be just show Buster Only, just like one of the just troll Buster Only. Give him 0 content to write about because he's itching to write some sort of article or book or whatever he does outside of his spare time at ESPN to spite the Mets. So that's my biggest thing is just like do it in spite of Buster Only.
You know what would be, and I know neither one of us actually want to see Diaz pitch this year just because we don't want to risk it. But you got to admit, it would be kind of badass end of the season, last series or whatever. I don't know if we're home to end the year, but whenever our last home series is, ninth inning, the trumpets start blaring, and Edwin Diaz
The
comes out of
trumpet.
the bullpen to save a big game that gets us like tied for the wild card or within a game or two, and like that moment would be pretty badass.
Our morals are escaping us right now thinking about this, Nelson.
Oh, I know. But listen, we got to give. Not everybody is on our Debbie Downer bandwagon, so we gotta give a little nugget to the positive fans. Hopefully they don't run with it and go too crazy, but yeah, I mean,
You know what before we close out this topic, you know what I loved though yesterday is that we went in opening game in Atlanta, absolutely destroyed them, and then I heard "Let's Go Mets" chants in Atlanta through my screen. That was a beautiful thing to hear.
yeah, that's not that rare. There's a lot of New Yorkers in Atlanta. Um, it's just the Mets haven't given probably them a lot to cheer for. So you haven't heard it much this year down there. But I've been to games down there. I have family down there. I used to live down there actually for a little bit. And I've been to games where there was almost a 50-50 split in the crowd. Um, Braves fans, man, I'm going to get them on my ass again if they see this. I don't care. Bring the smoke. They don't have a lot of real fans. It's a lot of bandwagon jumpers. Some people down there care about freaking football and college football at that. They're not real baseball fans. I'm sorry. There's some, but for the large majority, they don't care the way we do. If the Braves were as bad as us, nobody would be in that building. They don't have 50 billion podcasts still talking about their crappy team. They don't even have 50 podcasts talking about a good team. Like it's just they don't have the passion we do. I'm sorry, they just don't. So if you got a problem with it, Braves fans, whatever, come at me. But it's whatever. They don't deserve. Honestly, they don't deserve that freaking team. They don't deserve. I feel like a fan base that really would appreciate it deserves that. Um, them bandwagon jumpers, I'm not. I can't be happy for them at all. But whatever. Like Philly has this. I hate Philly. Philly has a real
They
fan
got a good
base.
baseball fan base.
I'll give Philly that. Them fans, they're legit. Atlanta,
Mhm.
get out of my face. I go watch the Georgia Bulldogs. I know that's all you care about. So that's what I'll close. That's my close. I know that that's going to be a little controversial or whatever, but that's how I'll close that out on the Braves talk. Just want to catch up real quick. Jung Hoo says Hall of Fame Scherzer and Verlander don't get along. What if too many Nippon players make for a toxic club? Too many ninja stars and nunchucks. I'm not gonna get into that. I I don't see that being an issue. Stevie Mac, maybe they'll bring up that Jace guy we got in that trade. Jace. Do you know who he's talking about?
I don't know who Jace is.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think you
Stevie
left it.
Mac, if you're still on,
Stevie Mac.
expand on that. Who's
Yeah,
Jace?
maybe expand on that because we both are a little stumped on who Jace is. But if
Yeah.
not, we'll see. Uh, maybe shoot us a message. We'll talk about it on Friday. Um, well, that's pretty much what I got. I'll let you say your last piece before I do.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, he said Jarvis. Yeah. That Jarvis guy from
Milwaukee. He came from Milwaukee
Milwaukee. Yeah.
in the Canna trade. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Justin
for the
Jarvis. There
Cannon
you go.
trade. Yeah. I could
Um,
see that.
another
But
guy. I think he's in
yeah,
AAA too right now.
yep. So before I do our little final plugs, I'll let you close it out. And are we doing the post game Sunday? Did we decide on that for sure?
Yeah, I'm down for the post game. We'll do a post game instead of the three amigos Mets post game. We'll do the two amigos Mets post game. Matt can't make it out on Sunday, so it'd be just me and Nelson live right after the final out. We'll do that for about an hour, and then We used to do that on our channel all the time here before we started the Interstate Mets Report. If you haven't watched our post games, go ahead and look back at our YouTube channels. I have a whole playlist on mine. If you go navigate to my page, we'll do that on Sunday. I'll get the graphics up and ready for that. So whoever can join us on a Sunday afternoon and talk some Mets baseball, that'd be great. I want to go ahead and get that out of the way as well. We'll see. We'll see if we're singing the same tune and as it relates to these what ifs of the Mets. Maybe they throw up a couple stinkers and are just like, all right, told you so, and then move on with it. But if not, if we're still talking about competitive baseball, then so be it. I love that as well. So yeah, no, that's it from us though. I don't have anything else to say. We'll see how the Mets do tonight. Not expecting much. I'm not a believer in Tyler McGill. It's been great baseball over the last 2 weeks. At least they're showing something at some point in the season. The guys are getting hot. The usuals, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil, Nimmo, even Stewart's getting in on the action as well. So we'll see what happens between now and then when we see you all on Friday. And like I said, thank you for rocking with us. I appreciate the regulars, Stevie, Jung Hoo, Aaron, all the guys, even the guys that couldn't make it that usually do make it today. So we got a nice little prediction here from Jung Hoo. Mets win tonight 10-2. I love his predictions. His or her predictions. I really don't know who's behind that account, but I love their predictions. It's very optimistic for the Mets in the Mets' favor, especially with some questionable pitching on the mound tonight for us. So that's it for me, man. Take it away. Let's close us out.
Yeah, man. Always, like you said, always good to have Aaron, Jung-Hoo, Stevie Mac around. We had a couple people missing today that are usually here, but shout out them as well. Always good to be here. Always good to do the show with you. We'll be back on Friday. Same bat channel, 4 o'clock though, not 5 o'clock. Before we roll out, please follow me on X. I keep forgetting it's X, not Twitter. At Amish Country Met on X, and subscribe to the YouTube. If you are somehow over on Chris's page and haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hop over if you'll do me a favor. Sub to the channel. I'm at about 220-ish, 219. Trying to get those subs up little by little. We're getting there. Chris is over 100 finally. Congrats to him. Sub to his channel as well. If you happen to be on mine, haven't subbed to his yet, please hop over to at CPNYSports. And then follow him on X and Instagram at CPNYSports as well. And lastly, give us a follow on X at Interstate Mets. Check us out there. Thank everybody for watching. Hopefully the Mets pull off a win. You never know.
We'll see.
Anything can happen. Do the Angels in the outfield. It can happen. So let's see what happens. I know the optimistic crew will be ready to pounce on us if we continue this and are somehow only a few games out. So hey,
we'll face it.
We'll see. Everyone have a good night. Enjoy the game tonight, and we will see you on Friday. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
Thank you for watching the Interstate Mets Report. Streaming Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to at Amish Country Mets Fan and at CPN